Welcome back to the Kansas City Commercial Real Estate Market Pulse, sponsored by Midwest Commercial Real Estate Advisors. This is episode 29, which is very exciting because we've been doing this show specifically for over a year now, and we have been able to increase our audience, generate traffic for listings through the deal spotlights, and have incredible guests on, such as Joe Killinger, who is joining me here today to talk all things commercial real estate, digital marketing, and specifically YouTube. And very excited about that. I'm going to introduce Joe here in just a second, but this is our team here in Kansas City. You know, we have been dedicated to delivering top-notch service and results, bringing market intelligence and a collaborative approach to every client that we serve. And Joe, I always kind of joke that I don't get the calls. We don't get the calls about the 150 unit multifamily property that's 99% leased, built in 2020 with, 4.5% interest that can be assumable. We're not getting those calls. We work on creative, interesting deals that really take the time. You need to take the time to figure out what the value is, what the hook is. And then we're highlighting that through YouTube, through LinkedIn, and that's where all of our marketing goes. But we have projects across medical office, multifamily, flex industrial, traditional office, retail, as well as land for land development in the multifamily space and townhome space, and for single family home development. Was just talking with Joe about this. It's so exciting to see D.R. Horton back here in Kansas City, starting to really put in some serious roots in regards to the homes that they are building down in Raymore and north of the river. And I am working on getting them as fast as possible. If you're listening, D.R. Horton, please do give me a call. No, they are going to look at one of our listings this Thursday. So it's very exciting. That is one of those, big first mover advantages, to see a big national home builder come in and really lay down roots, which shows confidence for the Kansas City market. So if you have any needs in regards to commercial real estate, please do reach out to our team. We are also helping 4 individuals right now identify their replacement properties for 1031 exchanges. Had 3 closings last week. We have an additional 2 we are hoping today. And additionally, we have many, many different listings. So please do reach out to us. We're coming here every single week on the Market Pulse, the Kansas City Commercial Real Estate Market Pulse, to be your go-to source for real-time data-driven insights. I am so excited to drop the most recent market report, and that's going to be going live tomorrow. You need to be following my LinkedIn newsletter because that's where everything is distributed. I just love the platform. I think there is so many ways to utilize that. We'll do a deep dive on that in a future episode. However, it is good to see commercial real estate volumes back up to $170 billion for Q2 nationally, which is a great marker, right? We are up about 14 to 15% year over year. Joe asked me, how is the Kansas City market? And hopefully, Joe, you could coach me, but I would say that, my response was very statistic and data driven, because I try not to focus on adjectives. I try to give statistics, and that's exactly what we're doing here on the Market Pulse. We also showcase our new projects here through our Deal Spotlights series that we have, and we're bringing on experts like Joe Killinger, who's here with us today. Look, guys, I've been following Joe for a long time, and I saw that Joe had been doing YouTube, and I was a guest on, I think it was your partner's podcast. It could be yours. Maybe I just got him.
Yours, yeah.
Podcast not too long ago. But, Joe's not just talking about the business. He's building it and documenting it at the same time. I think that is so exciting and a good way for commercial real estate brokers and investors to really start to build that following. Enough said. Joe, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on. And Logan, one thing you pointed out, you did talk about stats from the very beginning. And that's impressive to me, because when somebody asks, how's the market in Kansas City? A lot of people say, oh, it's good. You just had the opportunity to really show your expertise. And exactly. That always impresses me when somebody says, they break it down going, it depends on which asset class you're looking at, and you broke it down by asset class very quickly, very succinct, very professional. Those are the kind of people that you always want to work with, because they now have, most agents would just say, oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. But when you break it down, it's an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I had Bob Mackel on the show about a year ago, and he said the best way to stand out is to know your market and know your numbers. And when somebody asks you, how is the market? You do not answer in statistics. You answer in you do not answer in adjectives.
Right.
You answer in statistics, right? And just doing that alone will allow you to rise to the probably top 10%, maybe the top 5%
or
of
less
commercial real estate brokers, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, you heard from the best then, right? I didn't know he said that. So I'm just, that is exactly what you need to do.
Well, it's great to hear you reiterating that same fact.
Yeah.
So, Joe, for those who may not know you yet, how would you introduce yourself?
Well, it's kind of boring, but so Joe Killinger, I'm the partner in a few real estate companies. Then I have the joekillinger.co website, YouTube channel, and I really utilize that to really help people that are struggling in commercial real estate, or maybe just want to grow their business, and I help them. And so there's a lot of stuff on the website that you can go see. There's scripts, there's recommended reading from other agents. It's linked to the YouTube channel. There's all kinds of tools that are free. Everything's free. I don't charge for it because I just think our industry is amazing. And when I was starting, it was a struggle. Yeah. And, I've got my business partner that you met, George Pino. He's the CEO of our commercial real estate brokerage company, Commercial Brokers International here in Los Angeles. We're 22 agents. We're a full service commercial real estate brokerage. But we do service the entire country. Actually, we have some affiliates that are overseas. We have the Commercial Real Estate Affiliate Network, and we have Icon Capital Advisors. It's a commercial real estate mortgage company. And I document what I'm doing because I want people to see what works and what doesn't work. When I'm doing something that didn't work, I'm the first to say, okay, I kind of screwed the pooch on that one. Let's start that over. But I've learned so much from just trying and trying to make something work. And I like to document it just to show people what works. And because it didn't work for me does not mean it will not work for you. But we like to show you what we've been doing.
Absolutely. I dropped the link here if you're watching here live on YouTube or on LinkedIn, joekillinger.co. You'll see it here live. It's in the chat. And I just went to the website, and you can subscribe to the newsletter. Make sure to go subscribe to Joe's newsletter. I tell you what, the free resources over there, I have used them for years. The cold call spread, scripts, all of the documents that you have. If you're a new real estate broker or looking at getting into the industry, what an incredible place to go and get a 25-year seasoned veteran's best information for free. So head on over to joekillinger.co, follow Joe and everything that he's got going on over there. Hey,
we just posted a new booklet that's the first 90 days in commercial real estate that's free, and I think that can help a lot of people. So make sure you get that.
Absolutely. Fantastic. That's great. Always putting out wonderful resources. And, I have a lot of people reach out to me. I actually have meetings, hey, interested in commercial real estate and things like that. And I need to do a better job of aggregating that information. Frankly, I just kind of say, go read my LinkedIn post, because I do post quite a bit about my journey over there as well. But, hey, we're excited to dive into the YouTube and the content strategy today, right? And I'm just curious, why do you think that this is such a timely topic for commercial real estate pros right now? I mean, you've been doing video in some sort of capacity for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Why are people not doing it? And why is it a timely strategy?
A lot of people are just following the path that, everybody else is doing. It's podcast. I got my pod, everybody wants a podcast. And I've just always loved video. And I just think that, it's a real opportunity to create something. We're very visual people, and, and everybody's being smart with their podcasts. They started putting them on YouTube. And so that's brilliant. And so it's a good way to do it as well. But I've always just loved video. And I started doing YouTube well before podcasts were a thing. It's just I saw where the market was going in commercial real estate, and we were one of the first ones to start putting out content on YouTube for commercial real estate, and it drove a lot of business.
Yeah.
And now we've built a pretty good base there, so we want to stay consistent with it. But these videos, they'll last. They'll last if you do it right. You can really build your business with it.
So you're talking about, when you say they're last, they're talking about kind of this evergreen content,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, I mean, what I see a lot of people doing, which is helpful, is timely market updates. And I do a lot of that, right? But like, let's talk about the difference between maybe evergreen content that can always be generating inbound leads versus timely market updates, and how you've segmented the two.
We really, there's a thing, since you brought up Bob, proof stacking is a great one. That's something that's going to last forever. Talk about a client that and maybe you guys talked about it on the video with him, or the live with him.
We did not, no.
Oh, you didn't? So proof stacking is something that Bob does regularly. And Edwin that he worked with, it really got it started. But what that is documenting how you met the clients, how you went through the process of vetting them out, how you went through the process of finding them the asset, and all the ins and outs that you use to really find the right asset for them. And this could be for retail, this could be across all asset classes. And then, just document or talk about as you go, and make sure you document it. And then what was the end result, but put the whole story down. So proof stacking is just really, I think that's where it's really going. If you go look at a lot of people that are doing big deals, they're proof stacking right now. Matter of fact, there's 3 of my videos. It's all about clients that we did. So we worked with Elon Musk with the Boring Company. We documented that. We had John Paul DeJoria that owned Paul Mitchell Hair Care Products. We talked about some of the deals that we did with him. He had a Malibu property that was 400 and some odd acres. It was impossible because he bought it in Vegas. Him and his buddies thought, I'm assuming there was alcohol involved, but I don't know for sure. They were going to put a golf course on it, but it's right on the edge of the ocean, so you weren't going to get anything done with it. And then we had, and we talked about that whole process. And we ended up donating that property, and he ended up making a killing on it. And then lastly was there is a group of a company coming to Los Angeles that's doing these human carrying drones that you're going to be able to come into LAX, get a human carrying drone, and go to your location. So we really talked about those 3 big clients, and man, did those pull. So proof stacking, really great way to do it.
All right. So
those are long term.
For proof stacking, number 1, well, obviously document everything, but how you met the client, how you vetted them or the deal, and then what was the end results. That seems very simplified, right? But it's about this storytelling and being able to showcase and give somebody something concrete that they can relate to. Is that correct?
Yeah. You want to make sure you talk about the asset class and the market that you did it in. So if somebody's looking in Kansas City for a multifamily and you've got like 5 proof stacking, I'm like, man, this dude has done a lot of deals. You've already vetted yourself.
Yeah.
So very powerful.
Yes. And if you can proof stack and keep that evergreen content available for people to find you, that's going to be stuff that's called leverage, right? Naval Ravikant talks a lot about leverage. How do we find leverage, right? Well, one of these things is through advertising and marketing. Well, if you have those case studies, you have those stories, and people can find them and review those and then relate back to them, they feel like they know you before they even contact you. And what I like to call it, I think maybe Bob calls it this as well, is that refrigerator magnet, right? When your plumbing goes out, when your HVAC goes out and it's hot and you need water or whatever happens, you've got a backup. And you go to the refrigerator and you've got a magnet of Charlie's Plumbing or Full Nelson Plumbing. That's who I use here in Kansas City, by the way. Full Nelson Plumbing, because I just had to call them, right? Like Full Nelson was on the refrigerator, right? You have to be on the refrigerator as a commercial real estate practitioner.
That's exactly right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's great long form content. As much as you can do of that. Now, short form, just going out and being in your marketplace. If you got a showing out there, doing a showing today, talk about the property a little bit. these quick little videos that they work very, very well. You talk about the marketplace, the pricing, and another good one, and I'm stealing this. I don't know if you know Eddie Gonzalez from Arizona, CRE Advisors, Create Advisors. He taught me this years ago, was to, when you close a deal, do a video on guess the price. So you show the property and you give all the numbers on it, right? Price, square feet, you can give even some of the comps, and then you guess the price. And then you say, in 2 days, I'm going to come back on here. I'm going to tell you the price. And you can even offer a $10 Starbucks card or something like that. And it really drives people to make comments on your social media or YouTube account, or this can be done on Instagram, TikTok, any of them. But those work really great because it drives people to comment.
That is such good advice. At what point, because I mean, there's very few people in the commercial real estate industry, at least as brokers. I mean, I was just on Raphael's podcast. I think he does a good job with video.
Does.
Obviously, you got Sean Ward and Justin Ryder. You got yourself, myself, trying to do some video every once in a while, right? But like, you were first. I mean, there was no one. I mean, maybe the guy Michael Bull, right? He's had a radio show forever, right? But
yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's incredible, right?
Yeah.
Video wise, what point did you realize that content could really become a tool in your business strategy?
When people started calling, so we would do these videos, and then all of a sudden somebody would see one, and they'd see one. I can remember the first one. I did a deal with George on single tenant net lease, and we just did kind of a breakdown of how to break down an investment in one. And I think that one video brought in 2 clients.
Wow.
And I remember the one client. Matter of fact, he still has the one client, but I think it was 2. So yeah, and that was it works. It works very, very well. And
okay,
you've got to understand who your client base is.
Okay.
And so many people get into this not understanding. They just want to put content out, and that's great. But you got to make sure that you know who your target, who your audience is, what's your niche, and who are you going to really focus on. And you've got to really start there, and then focus your content on those people, because if you're multifamily in Kansas City and you're putting content out about office or retail, it's confusing to people, and they're not going to follow you. You need to bring it in, get your focus in. Down the road, when you've got 1 million or 2 million followers, then you can kind of diversify a little bit. But right in the beginning, you want to really focus on your niche and make sure that content is driven to them, and bring them a ton of value every time you open your mouth.
I love that. That's fantastic. Well, let's talk about this. So in practicality, right? Like, let's say I close a deal and we had a successful transaction. A lot of people are always going after testimonials, which I think is important.
Yeah.
What's the difference between having a testimonial, either video or written, versus the proof stacking, or is that a part of the proof stacking with when you're doing a case study? Because traditionally speaking, like every deal that we're closing, I'm writing a case study that people can go and access, which lives on our website. But I'm thinking now, and I'm writing notes in my Remarkable. See my pen here.
Yeah.
Writing notes on, man, what about building a custom website that has all of our proof stacking with links to YouTube videos that talks about the deal? Would that be a way to do this? Or
extremely powerful.
Okay.
Extremely powerful. And those reviews and testimonials, yes, you want them to be part of it, but also you want them to be separate, so you can, we tell agents, every time you close a deal, get a testimonial. We want those testimonials. We want those reviews. Get them on your website. Get them on Google, because that's what's going to drive. We had an agent that I think he's not really in the business anymore, pretty much retired, but he's one of the top restaurant brokers years ago. And he had a friend that said, "Hey, I want you to sell my apartment building in Santa Monica." And so he partnered with one of the other agents in the office that did multifamily, ended up selling it. And the client wrote this incredible review about that agent. And that review, this was maybe 10, 12 years ago. If you Google in Santa Monica multifamily, that review still comes up.
Wow.
So that's just, it's priceless. It's priceless. So the more you can get of those, the better off you are. So
Man,
yeah, your idea is incredible. You should
that's okay.
definitely do that.
That's incredible. So in regards to just YouTube, I mean, that's been obviously a great channel for, I mean, it's the second largest search engine in the world, right?
Yep.
What I'm also, this is something that I think is pretty interesting, Joe, is we were doing some market research and using AI. I don't remember if it was Perplexity or Chat GPT, but in the results, we were asking it about small bay industrial and flex industrial in Kansas City. Well, through LinkedIn, which we all know has incredible SEO, search engine optimization.
Yep.
That's why I post so much over there. My market report specifically for flex industrial properties of Q1 pulled up in the search results in AI. Wow. Right.
Yep.
Like, and that's where search is sort of going, right? When you search Google now, you have an AI section of that part. So I'm guessing, and I don't remember who owns YouTube. Is it Facebook or is it Google? I think it's Google, right?
I think it's Google, yeah.
So if Google owns YouTube and you are specifically tagging your video about a specific asset class, you could start now ending up showing up in the search for AI search. And how powerful would that be? Who's the top commercial real estate broker for flex industrial in Kansas City, right? Or in Los Angeles? And now your YouTube video is popping up in the AI results. I mean, this is changing rapidly, but it all comes back to having the content that you've proof stacked available for people to digest.
Yeah, and you want to take your thumbnail and your headline very serious. So a lot of people will just create a thumbnail, and I mean, we did in the beginning because we didn't know any better, right?
Right.
And now we A/B test as we go. But in the headline, you want to put it in a headline rater and see what it rates. If it's 50% and it should be closer to 100. I mean, you're never going to get 100, but 70, 80, you're doing pretty well. But you want to rate the headline and make sure it's going to be something that's good. You want to make sure you're putting in keywords in there in the video, so you can make sure that it's going to pull up. This isn't just post and hope. You've got to really do your analytics as you're going, and you got to see what's working for you, what's not working for you, and understand how SEO works with YouTube. Understand the importance of a thumbnail, and understand the importance of the headline. It all matters.
Wow. Okay. Well, so let's just kind of segment over here, right? Like, hey, Joe, Logan, this is awesome. I'm all in, but I'm busy. I'm making cold calls. I'm doing all of this stuff. And then they start to think about trying to start a YouTube channel, a LinkedIn platform, and maybe TikTok. I'm definitely not on TikTok. So I'm an old guy in the commercial real estate world. If you're on TikTok, Joe, good on you, man.
I'm on there. I don't use it right. I use it mostly for testing shorts.
That's awesome. Okay. So, but let's just say somebody's like, man, that sounds like a great idea, but like, how do I get started? Right? What are those questions to ask before starting a channel? I mean, with a broker with no YouTube presence, with no social media presence, what are those first steps that they should take?
Again, going back to understanding your niche. Who's your client base, and what market are you in? And then you got to start taking a look at your branding too. And this is the thing I see with so many commercial real estate agents. They're branding on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. They're all different. It needs to be consistent. If I should be confused. When I go to Logan's Instagram, I should go to Logan's YouTube channel, and I shouldn't wait a second. Oh yeah, I'm on his YouTube channel. It should all be the same. Your branding should be matching across all of them. You want to make sure that banner is consistent with all of your others. So your profile picture, make sure it's the same. You want to make sure that people can find you as quick as they can. And you want to make sure you're making sure your content strategy is there. You want to make sure that if you're doing multifamily in Kansas City, your content's about multifamily in the market that you chose, and then also a little bit about you. So those three pillars are a great place to start. So market strategy, or market that you're in, asset class that you're in, and a little bit about you, because you want to open the door so people can get to know you, right? If you like to go out and walk actually, I got a good story about that. So Kyle and Sarah, I don't know if you know Kyle or not, but he has a French bulldog, and he did a video with his French bulldog. And this guy that owned this franchise goes, "Hey, I have a French bulldog. Let's talk." So they found that commonality.
Okay.
And so you want to show a little bit about, who you are as a person as well. So those 3 pillars: you as a person, your market, your asset class.
Excellent.
You want to start there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And be yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
I try to tell people so much. They're like, well, I'm worried about how I'm going to be on the video, or I'm not sure what to say, and don't read just a script. People can tell if you're reading a script. Like when you asked me how the market was doing, I didn't have a script in front of me. I am in the business of selling and investing in commercial real estate. I should know those different markers and metrics that I rattled off, right?
Yeah.
And so it's because I'm researching them, I'm documenting them, and then I create a narrative in my head, and then I communicate that, right? But at the same time, everyone has a unique voice. And I had an early mentor really kind of pour into me and say, hey, you need to stop trying to be somebody you're not and just be yourself, right? And so that's why on my social media, you will see things about Jocko Willink and David Goggins and my faith, and talking about my family a bit, and won't put pictures up of my kids because they're too dang adorable, and you're gonna try to find my kids for some reason, some weirdo out there. But anyways, I don't. So I have smiley faces over their faces. But at the end of the day, like, you gotta be yourself, and you have to find that unique voice. And then this is so good that you said, what can I teach or show them? I mean, give them statistics. Start there. Know your market. Know your numbers. But how do you keep consistent, right? Like I've seen so many people have a big push, right? Like, oh yeah,
burn out.
And they burn out, right? So how can you stay consistent, right? Like that is the number one thing that you have to figure out, right? Like, and for me, it was this, like 9 years ago, I joined maybe it was a little bit 7 years ago or something. I joined a, Yona Weiss 10-day challenge on LinkedIn. I might've been one of the first groups. And, I just never stopped, right? At that time, I probably had 2,000 followers and no reach and didn't know how to use the platform. Well, fast forward 5, 6, 7 years, and we have 33,000 followers, and our impressions are over 3 million a year. And each deal that we're posting about is generating 25 to 30,000 views, which then creates leads to our listings for us to go follow up, right? I have so many case studies to talk about that, and I'm making notes on how to proof stack correctly right now. And I'm writing to myself and my team, hey, we got to put this whole strategy together and make sure we have this information. We need to make sure they're getting that information, right? So, but this is a part of who I am now, is staying that consistent. But maybe if you could, since you've been staying consistent for so long, and somebody does get burnout, what are some tips to stay consistent on a regular basis?
For me, it's my schedule. I just know that we have a lot going on with the multiple companies. And, if I'm fortunate, when I started out, I didn't have a team, but now I do. Not on the YouTube channel. I have one person that edits the videos, and then we decide what's going to go out and what's not. But, when you start to burn out, you really lose the wherewithal to be creative. And, you start seeing, once you lose the creativity, you start seeing the viewers drop. But you've got to really maybe scale it back a little bit until you get your feet wet. Make sure the content is really valuable to your clients, or to the potential clients, because if you're not going to be bringing value, you're going to lose them, and that's going to drive you to really, they're just not going to watch anymore. So it's got to bring a lot of value. Consistency is hard. I talk about this a lot, and it just depends on the person. There's a good chance you're going to burn out. A lot of it is scale back, reset, rethink. What can I do wrong? Go back and look at what was working, and really, you've got to be looking at your analytics constantly. What video worked the best? What style worked the best? What is really going to help me get back on track? And because you can get burned out. So you just got to step back, reassess what you're doing, maybe take some time back, slowly get back into it. But I'm thinking, one of the things that I really talk to people about, Logan, is they post and ghost. They're gone. They don't look at them. You've got to treat your community just like that. You've got to be interacting. If you're posting a video and you're getting a comment and you're just letting it sit, that's not good. Go in and thank them for making the comment, even if it's a negative one, which I've had a few of those over the years.
Sure.
Thank you for your opinion. Please tell. Even the negative ones I try and respond to. Sometimes I just like, because they're just trying to get you to get a response out of you. But you've got to engage and build your community. And once you get engaging and talking to people, the burnout will go away. You've got to start talking to people and asking, what do you want in your community?
Yeah. The number one thing that helps me with the burnout going away is, as you stay consistent, you get results. And when you get results, you then package those results up and you can market those results, and it just compounds on top of each other. Right. And it's like one of these things that Graham Weaver talks about. And Graham Weaver is a very successful investor. He is a lecturer. And I came across one of his videos called How to Live an Asymmetric Life. So what are those things that you're doing that have unlimited upside with very little downside, right? I mean, for me, it's very easy. My morning routine is what keeps me living an asymmetrical life, right? I'm working on my faith. I'm doing some meditation. I'm getting physically active, right? I'm making sure my LinkedIn post is ready to go. Like, I'm hydrating, I'm eating well, right? Those are all asymmetrical returns for me. But like, what happens on LinkedIn and social media and YouTube is, once you start having those results, it's really, there are no downsides to doing it other than your time. And what I talk about a lot is there's a difference between inbound and outbound. And I think what a lot of people get stuck on in this business is, posting about how many cold calls they're making. And I'm like, hey, that's great. When I got started, I was pounding out 265 cold calls a day. But I can tell you, just like somebody said, hey, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I'd much rather be rich, right? Well, I've had to pound out 265 cold calls. I don't have to do that anymore. And I'd much rather not have to do that, right? And so that's asymmetrical return if I'm able to have an inbound strategy that's coming on a regular basis. And the business can become fun, which then feeds itself, and you're staying more consistent.
Yeah, I think when we start doing these videos, we think it's going to be a pop, and the bells and whistles, and everybody's going to start calling me. That's not the case. There's a lot of competition. You've got to go into this, and this is where I see some of the burnout. And again, that's why I was talking about the different personalities, is you've got to come into this knowing that this is just like cold calling. Content creation is just like cold calling. It is something you're going to have to do to really build this up. You've got to get better at it. You've got to understand it. You don't need the $1,000 mic. You don't need all that fancy equipment. You just got to start, but with the expectation that it's going to take me a while to build this up, because I see people that start and 6 months later, they have a few hundred followers or maybe a couple thousand followers, and they're burned out because they've done all this. I'm like, well, go back and look at the videos that work for you, analyze them. What was the content about? What was the length of the video? And maybe you need to do something like what we do is right now we're posting the longer form videos on Sunday nights. And then Monday through Friday, we're doing shorts, so, and a lot of those shorts are either something I come up with an idea, I just want to get posted, or I do a lot of mentoring. I'll record those and then we'll splice those up and put those out. And then I have this thing I do every Friday called Fridays with George, which honestly was just something that I was being lazy one day. George just happened to be walking by. I go, hey, how about we do a Fridays with George? And it's going to be a term, explain a term in commercial real estate. And that's how that started. And now we've got an award through CREI Summit for doing it and people will reach out and interact. And, it's amazing that, something so simple, but it was just kind of raw in the moment. I think this is something people want to watch. But analytics, look at your metrics. You got to look at it all. That's going to help you. Don't have short-term thoughts that this is going to blow up right away. It's going to take a while.
Absolutely. And, we get a lot of questions around what content works. I mean, look, go on and find the folks in your niche that are having success and look at what's performing well for them, right? How-to videos and market updates, property tours, behind the scene. There's so many different content strategies and ideas that can start to work. Now, one thing that I love that you said is do not have kind of this, Epicurean, gratification. You need to be able to delay that gratification, be more stoic when you're thinking about this. But additionally, like Graham Weaver also talks about choosing your hard, right? Like do hard things, right? And I think that a lot of folks that start with social media and videos is like, hey, this is hard. I don't know how to figure it out, so I'm going to quit. Or I'm going to try to hire someone, and then they don't figure it out, and now I'm paying money for it, and they're not quitting. This is a part of your business. If you're a real estate broker, you are at your core a marketer, and you're creating an audience. And so you shouldn't outsource that. Now, you can outsource production, and you can outsource all of that, but you need to figure out your analytics, what's working, what's not, and testing it, and choose that hard, because I think that is so important. And if you can understand that, once you do, you can start to outsource specific parts of your real estate business and your content strategy. But love that idea of choosing your hard, knowing your metrics, knowing your numbers, reviewing the analytics, and testing things out, Joe. I think those were all incredible points to talk through.
Oh, absolutely. There's something I said, I put a tweet out a couple of years ago. I said, you can have the best service in the world, but if nobody knows about it, you don't have a business. Now, you could be the best marketer in the world and have the worst service, and everybody's going to know about it. So, you want to make sure the two combined are very good. You want to make sure that you're putting good marketing out there. I mean, it kills me in commercial real estate, and maybe, I don't know how long you've been in commercial real estate, but it's cold call. We're still kind of old school, right? We're still stuck in the 70s. Cold call. And, you said something earlier about inbound. If we just do cold calling, that's hard to scale. I mean, how many more cold calls can you do every day? But if you do your cold calling and you work on your inbound via email, via YouTube, via podcast, via, social media, very important, because those inbound leads are more likely to work with you than a cold call. It takes a long time, but you're still relationship building. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for that. Roshni said, true, starting is hard, but once you do, then you keep going. Couldn't agree more, Roshni. Yep. Remember always, and I love this quote too, that life is suffering, and so you need to choose something worth suffering for, right? It is hard. Things are hard, right? And if you have that mentality, then you can really start to succeed, and the burnout really does not affect you as bad as if you think it's going to be easy. So thank you for being here, Roshni. If you guys have any other questions or comments, please do drop them in on LinkedIn and on YouTube. We're here live with Joe Killinger talking about YouTube strategy, digital marketing, social media for commercial real estate. This was one thing I wanted to really hone in on, right? Which was, what was maybe one big mistake that you made early on with your YouTube strategy, your channel, things like that people can maybe learn from?
Just not really vetting the content, just thinking, not studying what it was really going to be. I was too diversified. I was way across the board. And I learned, okay, we got to bring it in. We got to really bring it in. And so, in the very beginning, also mistake number 2 was I just thought I had to have it perfect, but if you have one of these in your hand, these damn things, the cameras on these, the videos on these that you can create is probably good enough. For now, when you're starting out, then you can build and get the fancy equipment and, your Rhodes mics and all the high digital cameras. You can get that. But yeah, mine was, I would say I was just too broad in the beginning.
Yeah. You got to niche down, right? The riches are in the niches. Hey, we pulled out a nice tweet here from you that said, hey, don't worry about, is it perfect? Just get it out and put data out. Now, this reminded me of Craig Gorshell, who runs one of the largest, I think, churches in the United States. And he talks about GITMO, or good enough to move on. It's an acronym. Yeah. I love acronyms. Get something good enough to move on. And then I did some more research and found out that Taylor Pearson talks a lot about the 70% rule. Get something 70% of the way, get it out to some people that might be engaging with it, and get feedback, because that last 30% that you think you need to have perfect might actually be the exact opposite of what the market is needing. So would you expand on maybe this lesson here of don't worry about, is it perfect? Just get it out and put the data out?
Yeah. So when I do a lot of mentoring, and when younger people are getting started, they're worried that the picture isn't perfect, or the content. It needs to be just so perfect. I'm like, why are you worried about the perfect picture? You can't really worry about that. You're gonna put 2 hours into a photo that should take you about 15 seconds to look at and go, okay, this is perfect for what I need. But the photo doesn't have to be perfect, and just perfection is going to kill you. So that was the point by this, because I've sat with a few of our agents, and they just think that this photo has to be perfect. It's like the end all be all of their career for some reason. And I'm like, no, just get it out. People want to see the data. They're going to glance at the photo. They want to see the data.
Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Getting that information out to the marketplace. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. No one is perfect. I always tell my kids there was only one perfect person in this world, and that was JC. I'll just keep it at that. But long story short, couldn't agree more on that front. I think it's really something that holds people back, right? Is this perfection, right? And John Wooden talked about in his book, The Pyramid of Success. One of my favorite quotes was, we can strive for perfection. We will never achieve it, but we can strive for a perfection and land on excellence. So strive for perfection, land on excellence, pivot, iterate, move forward. Ray Dalio talks about this in Principles as well, right? You take action, you review the results, you analyze them, you figure out what went well, what didn't go well, and then you make principles to change so you can have a better result next time. It's the 5-step process of achieving anything in life. And so I think that is something that we all need to keep in mind. So I appreciate that thought, Joe.
Well, you have to think about your time. Your time is a lot of value, and that's in sales. If you're on commission, time is money. And so, make sure that you and the people that they put all this time into it and they're not getting the result that they want. And a lot of times that will lead to burnout. They say, I'm trying so hard to be this perfect, get the content out. You're going to build, it'll build. Just reiterate, really look at what you're building, and, follow what works.
Absolutely. 100%. All right. Well, let's get to a little bit of a rapid fire session here. What are 2 to 3 steps that you think a broker could take this week to start launching or improving their presence online?
Oh, So we tell our agents this, but first of all, I want to bring up one thing is, the average age in commercial real estate brokerage is around 55 to 62. So seeing guys like you that are out there doing it, younger guys that are getting in the market, there's such a huge opportunity for you guys. You guys were born with these things in your hand, right?
Yeah.
So you guys know how to create content. You guys can go into a market and take over, because you're not just doing the cold calling. You're writing blogs, you're creating content, and your exposure is a lot bigger than most of these other people that are living on referrals. So you can go in and take over a market easily. And you want to start with the first 3 steps is get in your marketplace, get out there, and just, if you're going to do an inspection or a showing, go out there and document it. Just start documenting your day. And that is going to really be a great place to start. It's just, I'm doing showings, I'm doing inspections. This is a new property in my area that just sold. Do the thing I talked about with Eddie Gonzalez about guess the price. That is a very powerful one. But just documenting your day this week, start there, is going to be a great place to start. And even if you're in retail and you're out walking, we call it the block program. You're walking in, getting to know people. Take a photo with the manager, the store owner, tag that store, get that out, talk about the people that are in your community. I was just in this neat little store here in Kansas City. It's in my marketplace. I was out, maybe you were doing showings or whatever it was, and I stopped in. You guys have got to go check this out. That kind of stuff in your marketplace is powerful.
Absolutely. Great feedback. Start documenting your days. Okay, a couple more quick takes for you. Hey, a lot of people do want to know, hey, I'm trying to elevate my presence online. Do you have any recommendations in regards to cameras or mics that you like to use?
I really like the Rode mics. I've had good success with them. Lights, I don't even know who the lights are. We have Sony cameras, high digital. They're great cameras. They work for us. They're easy to use was my thing because I'm not very tech savvy.
Yeah, me
So
neither.
I was big on. I just basically needed to point and shoot. So
Yep,
that was on. But it just depends on what works for you. You don't need to
absolutely.
be spending a few thousand on a camera. You
Yeah.
just need to. The phones in the beginning are going to be good enough for you. Just make sure the lighting is good. Make sure it looks decent. But I don't have any specific tools that we use.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, guys, I'm on a Logitech HD 1080p webcam right now, and I think, Joe, you would say my video is just fine, right, for what we are doing here. Why? Because I position myself in front of from a window with good natural light from over here, and then I have a light over here to my left that is performing, and making sure that I'm showcased on that side as well. In regards to the microphone, it's an Audio Technica. I don't know what that is, but nobody has ever said, man, your video and your microphone really need to be upgraded. Now, if you are doing very high production value content, then sure, there's plenty of YouTube videos for you to go review that. But I think more practically speaking, are you a fan of scheduling out your content? And if so, do you use any tools to support in that process? And I'll just be really frank with you. I use the LinkedIn scheduler. That's all I use. So I don't have a whole lot of information to share with folks, but are you big on, a content calendar and scheduling this stuff out to try to batch it and make it a little easier?
Yeah, so I will come up with a short and I'll text it to myself. Then I put it in a calendar just to look at it. And more often than not, Logan, I'll come up with an idea like, oh, that's a great short. And then I let it sit for a couple of days. I'm like, that was just not a great idea. I delete it, or I've deleted it. But I put it in a calendar. But I have Mondays. Every Monday I meet with our head of marketing, and she's the head of marketing for Commercial Brokers International. But she helps me on the YouTube channel, and I discuss ideas. She's got her master's from USC in marketing, so it's a great resource.
Awesome.
And then we talk about when to schedule it. And most of the time we meet those schedules, but sometimes we have to move it because, as you know, in our business, one of our agents will need me, and I have to go out on a showing, or I have to go out on a pitch with them, or something like that. But the more you can really schedule it, the better off you. Most of the bigger people that I know, they're doing podcast or YouTube channel, they do schedule it. They just block off, this is what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And they have, that's great for them. I just can't, because I have 20 some agents that might need me at sometime, so it has to move.
Makes complete sense. Hey, this is something that I wanted to ask you. What's one video idea that's been on your list, but you maybe haven't filmed it yet because it might be a little scary?
Oh, you know what? This is incredible, because I was just thinking about this. Well, I've done it for a few years. So there's a casino out on Catalina Island, and it's beautiful. They used to have big parties out there. So all old Hollywood would get on a boat in Long Beach or San Pedro, and they'd go out on an evening, and they'd have these big parties, all these Hollywood-filled parties out there. Well, that casino still exists, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking for a storyline, how to bring that into what I'm trying to do with my channel. And so that's really one that I'm constantly, it's in the back of my mind. I'm looking for a story that I can come up with and really utilize that, because it's such a beautiful backdrop out on that island. And it's just, it sits there. I think they still rent it out for parties, and I think you can tour it as well. But that's the one of them I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a little bit of tips. So like whenever I'm trying to brainstorm something like that, I will have either GenSpark or ChatGPT, Deep Research, or even Perplexity do deep research on that property, right?
Yep.
And so then it will share with me all of the history of the property. Then I simply will ask, I am trying to figure out a storyline for me to make a video and relate it back to my business. And then I would send my business information over to AI. Man, I wonder what it might drop out for you just from a brainstorming standpoint. It could be kind of a cool thought process for you.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I'm doing a pivot with my channel right now. I was interviewing, I was very fortunate to get Chris Voss and Cody Sanchez and a bunch of other big name people But I feel that I kind of got away from why I originally started. I started doing these interviews with these great authors, and it was great. Views were through the roof, and when they repost something, which we should talk about collaboration. We'll do that right after this. But when they repost something, you get a bunch of followers from them. But it just wasn't. I thought I was missing the point with people wanting to get into our industry because they were great, but I think I needed to really do more videos. So I'm starting to do more just one-on-one videos of me talking about, empathy. And I got that from Chris Voss video was how to use empathy in sales. So I'm really pivoting towards really how to help people in commercial real estate grow their business.
Great.
And
Love that.
so I think that's it. And it's affecting my channel. Doesn't really grow anymore. It's pretty stabilized, and my views are way down because that's not the people that did subscribe. That's not why they subscribe, is this kind of content. So I'm going through it like everybody else right now, redoing it, figuring it out, figuring the process out. And it's scary because I was building something that was growing so fast, but in the end, I really wasn't fulfilled, and it really wasn't what I should have been doing. And I kind of got away because the numbers can get addicting.
Yes.
You start to see the follower count, you start seeing the views, but if it's not what you really want to do, then you are going to burn out on it. I was starting to burn out a little bit, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Even my sister said to me, she goes, well, you kind of got away from why you told me you really wanted to start the channel in the first place. So, but collaboration is something, if you really want to grow your channel, is, find people that are in your marketplace that can really be great for your channel, and then they will repost your content. So hopefully you'll pick up some of their subscribers, and vice versa.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Caleb Brown is a gentleman that is embodying this on a regular basis here in Kansas City. If you follow Caleb over on LinkedIn on a daily basis, he's showing you what he's doing, the properties he's going and touring. I think he does a great job. So thanks for being here, Caleb. We appreciate that. Most definitely. We got time for really one last thought. Joe, what is the one message that you'd like to leave everyone with that might still be on the fence about starting YouTube strategy, a channel, or just putting themselves out there?
It's a pretty simple one. And it's like, you've got an opportunity here to really go out there and build a huge business. And video is going to be part of it. Matter of fact, LinkedIn's looking at doing a lot with video. So everybody's headed toward video. And so you don't want to be the person that says, okay, yeah, I'm going to do it now, and everybody else is already in the marketplace. You want to be the first to really get out there and do it. There's not that many people doing just YouTube videos, for commercial real estate. So the opportunity is there. And, you got into this business to build something, a future. And video is that future. And and I think the proof stacking. If you can do video proof stacking, you're going to be unstoppable in your market, because I can guarantee you, in any marketplace, there is such a limited number of brokers doing it. You're going to be the leader. So just go do it. Go be the first. Be number one in your market.
Love that. Well, I've just dropped on the channel again, the proof stacking, how you met the client, how you vetted the client and the deal, and what was the end results. Joe, thank you so much for being on today. If everyone wants to come see what you've got going on, access those free resources, I've dropped joekillinger.co here, but is there any place else that those folks should go review, sign up, and subscribe?
Yeah, well, it's all Joe Killinger. So my YouTube, my Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, it's all Joe Killinger. Just please give me a follow, and I'll follow back. Let me know about your thoughts today, and so that's that way I'll know where you came from today's video.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Joe. We very much appreciate it. If you're interested in commercial real estate here in Kansas City, you're doing a 1031 exchange, you'd like what we call a property or portfolio performance audit instead of the broker opinion of value, Joe, you'd like that. We do PPAs instead of BOVs. I'm just throwing all kinds of acronyms at you guys today. Then reach out to us. We just completed 3 or 4 of these We truly are trying to advise. Should you hold? Should you sell? Should you do a refinance, or a combination of both of those? And I recently put my analysis for one of those portfolio analysis on my LinkedIn. That post went viral. People loved it because it showed that I said, hey, I'm a broker, but I'm telling you not to sell those 2 properties over there. You should think about selling this one. And here is what we can do if you were to unlock that equity. So doing return on equity analysis, really trying to help people make informed decisions. Also, we are working with many different clients and owners in regards to figuring out where we are in the current real estate cycle, something that we have definitely covered many times on this show previously. So do go look for episodes with Akhil Patel, with Paul Shannon. We talk about the real estate market, where we talk about the cycle and where we're at and how to position yourself really to make your portfolio perform over the next 2 to 3 years. It's going to be a wild ride, and we're very excited to help in that regards. Joe, man, thank you for what you do in the industry. Thank you for giving back to people like me. We wouldn't be sitting here if I wouldn't have followed you on either LinkedIn or YouTube and started going to the website and having conversations. So we just appreciate what you do for the industry. You're a go-giver, and thank you for sharing your time with us here today.
Thank you very much, Logan. I very much appreciate it.
We'll be back next week with another episode of the Kansas City Commercial Real Estate Market Pulse. We will be doing a deal spotlight. I know we've been very heavy on our deal spotlights. I much more enjoy these interviews because I get to ask the questions and they get to answer. Folks like Joe get to answer. But we'll be back doing a deal spotlight on a really unique, what I'll call incentive stacking opportunity zone project plus historic tax credits in an up and coming market. Really cool deal. So make sure to check that out. Next Wednesday, we will be here live. So we'll see you then. Joe, thanks again for your time. And thank you all for your comments and for your questions and for being here. I can tell you that I learned a lot. I have a page of notes here on my Remarkable, and I probably got 3 to 4 hours. And I know Katie's listening here. I'm going to have many different notes going over to Katie to say, how are we proof stacking? Where are we showing up? We're not even on Google. So let's start knocking those things out. Hopefully you had some actionable takeaway items like I did here today. That's what we're trying to do here on the show. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here.